Hello and welcome back to the Spider's Web. And as I said in the last video, the Drider is getting the makeover. So, first of all, we'll do what we normally do. Seen this one before. Dawnstone, sorted. There we are. As usual, the Dawnstone is just the base coat for the hair. We're going to be dry brushing over to bring out all the highlights on it with white. And yes, I am doing this explaining every little move I make, because as I said in the last video, we have 2 people waiting for this. I want to make sure that I do a good job for them. And while I'm on the subject, thanks again to everybody who has subscribed and who watches my videos. I really appreciate it. It is quite something for me, with having very little confidence of actually turning my computer on, getting into YouTube and seeing 94 subscribers. Although I can't see all of you, the list doesn't actually show everybody who has subscribed to me when they'll come in subscribers list, but anyone who I know has subscribed to me, I've subscribed back. And anyone who I haven't subscribed to, it's because I don't actually know that you've subscribed to me. So if you want to make yourself known, I would be very happy to know who you are, and hopefully be able to exchange messages and whatever. That's if you want to. So I've done it again. I've mixed way too much. I've put way too much of the Dawnstone out for this, but never mind. I suppose I can always use it for something else a little later. Oh dear, I really have used too much. Okay, I'm going to clean this brush out and move over to my detail brush. One of my detail brushes, whichever one I pick up. That is the fine detail brush I'm using. And again, to get the nice point on it, we drag the brush, the bristles through the paint and twist. We make that movement when we're bringing it through the paint, just to get that nice point on it. And this Drider, unlike the one that's in Legend of Drist, is actually male. Sorry, it's female. The Legend of Drist one is male. This one is female. Oops. Oh, that's not looking good. Never mind. Hopefully when the thingy goes on, when the wash goes on, it will improve. And there's no, it doesn't look as though there's any sleeves on this, so it looks as though it could be a bare arm. there does look as though there's a sleeve on the left arm, so I'm not going to do that. There we go. Now what we can do now is just to change the colour of the highlight that we're using. We can add some of it to black, and that will obviously darken it considerably. But there again, you've seen me doing this time and time again with this series. You tend to use a very limited palette when you're doing certain things like this. So again, you've seen me do it, you know what I'm doing, so it shouldn't really come as a very big surprise. But the idea is, make it easy on yourself. There's so many people out there who want to make life difficult for you. Don't be one of them. Make any chance you get to make something simple for yourself, take it. You know what I mean? There we are. Don't know what that is. And that's that. Using that brush. I want to use my bigger brush now, because this colour is going to be used as a dry brush to do the legs. You will be surprised to find that this is not going to be a very long video. You may think it will be because of the subject matter, but there's not much in the line of painting to do on this. Once you've got the primer on, the base coat on, you're nearly finished. Well, it is if you're doing this particular colour scheme. If you're not doing this particular colour scheme, you're doing another one, then you may find it a bigger job. But as it stands, this is the colour scheme I want to do. I want it looking dark. I want to look it mean and moody. I don't want to look it all. I don't want it looking, you know, all pretty and colourful. Because to me, that's not what the Drow's about. They're living, the spider, like dark elves. So they're hardly going to be parading up and down in brightly coloured clothing. Although I have done a few in brightly coloured clothing, but they're more of the exception to the rule than anything else. But again, it's that thing known as taste coming through. If you want your Drider or any other character that I've done this week to be a lot brighter, or to be different in any way, shape or form, do it. You know, no one is putting a gun to your head here saying, you know, I've done it this way, that's how you have to do it. I'm showing you how I'm painting it, giving you the tips of how I'm painting it, and then it's down to you. If you want to paint it the same way, fine, go ahead. I don't mind. I would sooner, though, that you don't. I would sooner, to be honest with you, you take the ideas that I'm giving you and running with them in a totally different way. I think I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'm going to carry on saying it, and I will not be apologetic in repeating myself over this. They're your figures. They are your figures. They aren't my figures. These are my figures, but the ones you have in your collection are your figures. So you do with them what you want to do with them. If you want a bright pink spider, or Drider in this case, have a bright pink spider. Well, no one's saying just because I'm doing it's all greys and blacks and a few brown ones in there, you know, doesn't mean to say that you have to do the same thing. I cannot state that enough. Individuality, personal taste. It's what this hobby's about. Do it the way you want it, not the way other people think you should do it. And that is one of the reasons why I've got brassed off with Games Workshop, because it all seems to be do it this way, do it that way. And I prefer, I don't want to do it this way, I want to do it that way. And they seem to want to lay the law down on what you should be doing. And when all said and done, we as customers should be telling them how we want it done, because it's our hobby. It's their business, but it's our hobby. It's what we are taking pleasure in. Right, so what I've done there, while I was having me a little bit of a rant, is I've painted the back of the Drider with scab red. I'm now wiping off the majority of the scab red that's on its back, because I want to keep it in the crevices. I do not want it on the back. I do not want scab red all over that. I just want it in the crevices. And you'll see why in a bit, because it looks quite nice when I do it this way. If it works, it doesn't always work, because I usually sometimes get a little bit clumsy when I'm doing this type of thing, and mess it up. I'm hoping I don't do it this time, because I don't want to mess it up. People are waiting to see this video, and I want to do as good a job as I can, even more so than usual. Okay, so I'm now looking for my tin bits, which is hiding just about there. That's my tin bits. Recognise that now. I'll take that bit off. And this is for a couple of little pieces here. It's for the blade of the sword, or dagger, short sword, whatever it may be. And there looks to be some form of armour here, which I'm going to do with the tin bits, and I'm going to just give that a bit of a brush over with a dry brush over with bolt gun metal. So while that's drying, again, it's out with the whites and get the hair done. The one thing I won't be doing is dry brush, is putting a wash on its back. well, not a null oil wash anyway. I've just remembered I do have another wash I can use for that, so I'm going to use that one instead. Null oil will be going on everywhere else, however, same as normal. Okay, so there's our Drider, almost complete. And all that remains now is the black on the abdomen. Now let's see if I can do this well enough. And it's just at the moment very watery. Don't think I dragged my brush out enough. There we are. So I'll take off all the black off the brush and try it again. And it's a very dry brush over the back. There we are. And again, very small amount of the black on the brush. Take it off on a cloth and dry brush over. Be patient with this, because there's only small crevices in this for the red to show through. This is where I will urge that you take your time and try not to rush it. And as you can see from that, you will get quite a good effect. And we don't really want it completely covered, or we don't really want the red completely covered. You just want that hint there. There we go. That I am happy with. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to get the null oil out, and I'm going to give everywhere but the abdomen a going over with the null oil. That is, of course, when I find it. Here we are. And as I say, everywhere but the bum end, shall we say, of the Drider is going to get a going over with null oil. The lumpy bit that we've just dry brushed in black, we're not going to be touching. But again, obviously, it depends how you've painted yours as to whether or not you would want null oil. Here we go. I know it does seem incredibly strange doing all this work. I'm saying doing all this work. putting all the paint on and then just going over, smothering it all with a very thin, basically watery paint. Well, I've explained why you do it many times during the course of the video series. I don't really think it needs going over again, but I've gone off camera again, I'm sorry. But in this case it's done because I've actually gone into crevices that I didn't want to go into, and I wanted to make sure that they were, the bits that I wanted black are going to be black, and the bits that I wanted grey or white in some cases are going to be that colour. But yes, I do indeed like this model, which is much nicer than the Legend of Drist Drider. Now I did say I had a different coloured wash I can use on the abdomen. That different coloured wash is, when I find it, this one. It's Carroburg Crimson. It looks quite pleasant, so I'll see how that one goes with it. It is a red rather than brown or black, so it may brighten up the little crevices in here. I'm not saying it will, or it may just give it a slightly reddy cast, but let's see how that dries, and when we come back we will be adding the final highlights, all the finishing touches, and ending another video. So should be back when it's dried. Hello, we're back, and as you can see the redness in the lines, they've got a little bit dull. So what we can do to remedy that, get our blood red on the go. Fine brush. And just whiz down. And anything that goes over the line gets wiped straight off. There we go. Very simple, really. This obviously works better if you've got a larger gap you can get your brush into, otherwise it can be a little bit of a pain to try and get in. But I say no need to bother, or no need to worry about it, because if you do go over, you can always wipe it off. Assuming you see it in time before we can get it wiped before it dries. I mean, if you can't wipe it out before it dries, then obviously you can always go over again with black around the edges, just to be on the safe side. There we go. another one there, a curved one there, and another one there. Sorted. So that's that for the abdomen. It is now purely and simply a case of getting the rest of this done, which to be honest won't take long now. We want Runefang steel. There we go. And that is going to be for the blade. Oops. And that was done for the blade, and the bits of armour plating here. You can see I'm not going to be going too in depth with this, it's just touch here and there. I'm just trying fill out the Ujima Flippity Gibbers, what's it called? Just try and get the highlights and get the edges so it makes it look as though it's metallic. My mind's wandering again, sorry about that. Oh dear, where are we? Abaddon Black now, and again pop some of that down, and this time we're popping some Administratum Grey. We've used this one before as well, but not very often, I admit. And we take a bit of that as well, and we're trying to try and make it a little lighter because we're going to ultra highlight the clothing, or extreme highlight the clothing rather, not ultra highlight, extreme highlight. Right, just you can call it whatever you want. Here we are. So I've got you there. There it goes. There it goes. And we're just doing like a herringbone effect here. That's about it. And then onto the belt where it's just we just do the top edge. There we are. And there's not really much else we can do. I'm just going to go over a few bits and a few areas of her arm, and that shoulder, and that shoulder, and that's about it for that. I'm going to add a touch of the blue, not the blue, the fang. There we go. A touch of it, and I'm just going to add a little more highlighting to her face, just her nose, her eyebrows, and just a side there, and that's it. Finally, for the main parts, we want to just go over once again the whites on her hair. I told you this wouldn't last long. It's not a major model, even though it is a big model for this set. It's there's nothing majorly complicated about painting this. Basically get on with it. That's the way it works for most of the models I do anyway, but yeah, you know what I mean. There's nothing here that is complicated. It's all real and straightforward. There's no messing about or anything. It looks impressive when it's finished with the minimum effort, maximum effect. There we are. And as I say, absolutely stunning model. Then what am I? Drop one of my brushes. There you go. I wanted to do a bit more metallic, so there's a bit more metallic stuff I need to do. So I'm going to use our old faithful Hashut's copper. And that is for the handle of the sword, be a sword or dagger, whatever it may be, and just a touch in the middle here, just to make it look as though it isn't actually silver, that it is a completely different colour but has silver highlights. There we are. I said there's nothing major with this. A lot of it is all biological, as in like human figure and spider figure, so it's not as if there's much going on there. But the one thing that will be going on here is a little jewel, and for that I'm going to be using Sotek green, and the jewel is that there. And once that dries, we'll be going over again, or we'll be going over it with the white glue, and that will make it shine. Which ones were they? It was those ones. Was any of that white glue actually? Yes, it's still, looks as though it's still usable. I'm going to use this fine point on this brush, and I'm just going to go over that because I want it to be a jewel, and that, I'm going to lie them down, and again I'm going to go over that and that, and has that dried yet? There we are. Now it's hurry up and clean this brush off before the glue dries on it. I know I did say earlier not to use your good brushes on this with white glue, but this is a standard brush from Games Workshop. I've got another standard brush from Games Workshop that's unused. This one is a bit old. It's still usable, obviously, as you can see, but I only used a very small amount of the white glue and washed and washed it off straight away, so there shouldn't be a problem. So I'm hoping you can see that that does actually now look as though the two red jewels on his armour are actually shiny. Okay, so we have the two big spiders sorted. What I have noticed there is I have gone over with I've touched it with the Hush-Up copper, so I'm just going to go over that part with the black, and I think I may go over these parts with the black as well to make the rest of the leg stand out that much more. I'll go over the joints in the black. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I think it may just be me being a little bit over pedantic over it, but I just like the idea of those being plain black rather than highlighted. It just breaks up the legs a little, or breaks up the colour of the legs a little. It doesn't break up the legs. Now we'll do the bottom ones as well. I'm trying to make it look as though it's like trying to get the painting where there's a dip, where there's like a shadow effect to make it look darker down there. I am blooming roasting, I'm blooming tired, and I just want to go to sleep, to be honest. There we go. So that now is the Drider finished. The next step in the process of painting the figures from Sting of Lolth is the big gun himself. It's the Umber Hulk, whatever it may be. So I'm going to be getting online and having a good look, see exactly what an Umber Hulk is. I've never ever heard of one. This is new to me. Just in this game I do not know what one is. At least with various other things I've actually heard of, but an Umber Hulk I never have. So I've got a clue what one is, so I'm going to be doing a bit of research before I start painting, just to find out what one is. Okay, so until next time, take care, God bless, and bye for now.